Okay, folks, good morning. I think my voice is a little bit better today than it was yesterday. Let's move these pieces of the Panther away that we're working on. And get to the main event of what we're going to try to accomplish this morning. Before we go to the salt mines, let's put the feet up here too so I don't have to take my glasses on and off here. No, I don't see it yet. It's a bit of a delay then. So, so yesterday I was out of town for most of the day. Did a short session this morning, in the morning, where I finished priming, getting all the nooks and crannies into these Panzer IIIs. This is the Matchbox Panzer III. And when I got back, I didn't do a live show or anything. We just went and sprayed Panzer Gray on it and some of the white overspray, the washable white, like the T-34s have on them, on top of the Panzer Gray. And I wanted kind of a splotchy paint scheme, like, they had some time to kind of get it together. Maybe here? There we go. And this is where we're going to start. So I didn't want to spray all three and not be happy with how it turned out, although it was unlikely, but still. There we go. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do one all the way through and then see what we learned from it, what I might want to do differently on some of the other ones, etc. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the road wheels on here. So let's get some of this folk art black. We're going to winterize it over it. Alright, let's see which one of these. We don't want one that's... No, we need one that's a little thicker than these. Well, not thicker than this one, but... something like this. Alright, just a little bit of water. Now, if I never painted figures, I probably would never have used water. Probably like, oh, I'm just using it right out of the bottle. What's the problem? Well, the problem is you need to keep the flow going. You need to avoid it from catching on things. Now I have 3 of these Matchbox Panzer III's. This one I didn't add anything to it at all. One I added a little jack, and the other one I added some armor and a little folded up little thing on the turret. So they still don't have a whole lot of customized stuff to it. These guys haven't been in combat that long. Although I suspect they probably started accumulating things at a really fast pace. Figure if I work on this morning, and then when I get home, be able to look at one of these today, finished. Pretty achievable goal. All right, we've got some breaker bars or something like that. There. And over on this side. Some other tools. A shovel. I just noticed the shovel now. It's kind of hidden. Hidden in plain sight. I don't know where these fibers came from. This cable back here. Coiled up. Which, I don't mind, except that it's always in the same damn place there. On every one of the Panzer III's, and man, I've painted quite a few of them. I'm significantly drier than I was yesterday, this morning. this morning as opposed to yesterday morning. Okay. And I believe that's the last thing other than the road wheels. I used to think that like painting road wheels was like really tedious. It's not compared to sanding them down. I don't mind painting things. They're not going to paint themselves, but anything that involves like fixing like panel lines or something like that, things that are is what I don't like doing because that's like you're doing quality control stuff for the company. Like you shouldn't have any flash and things like that. Obviously, you're going to have to sand down the areas where the road wheel's attached to the other road wheel on the sprue, but cleaning up flash and stuff like that, that's just where two of the molds didn't go together cleanly. You know, they had some. I'm not a fan of that. I'll do it, but Okay, basically one saying we're gonna put some more snow on it. We just want to get the and on this stage. I don't want to do it before because you'll overspray all over it. Should be good there. And this track almost broke off. I mean, almost got really thin. It was. I feel like this track was almost eating itself, and that it was so old and had been suffering damage from being in a hot environment. This rubber band track, so it is holding on by a wire. I hot glue gunned it down here, so it's a bit messy. So this is definitely a candidate for being on a stand or something like that. So you can put a little bit of snow or mud or something like that to kind of hide that. So we took the ugliest Panzer III of the three, the one that didn't have any enhancements done to it, and also had the track that was all messed up, and we put it towards the bottom on purpose. All right, let's get this side. Of the return rollers. Okay, I think that'll do it. Now, take a look at one thing. Let's see, I had these pictures up. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit of a. Let's see where my pin vise is and what. Ooh, that one's huge. We need something a little smaller in there. Yeah, we're gonna drill out that machine gun a little bit. Put a little divot in it. Just looks like a chunk of plastic. I don't mean the one on the hull, the coax. It's got like a little armored shroud anyways. Looks like there's a divot in it a little bit. There we go. We'll go ahead and do the other ones while I'm thinking about it. Well, like I said yesterday, I had to do a long drive in the morning yesterday and drove back, dropped the daughter back off at college. About 2.5 hours each way, or so. Didn't see a single cop either direction. That was extreme. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Well, not exactly true. The first one I saw, there was a group of them exactly when we got back to this Barney Fife town. But cops are all over the place in ambush in this town. Not on the interstate. I don't think that's ever happened. So, it was a big football game on or something. I don't know. The Krispy Kreme light was on. It's fresh donuts. What's up, Hoffman? I decided to do some morning thing. Try to get this Panzer III knocked out. I sprayed him last night. You know, it's not exactly even. I just sprayed this. I didn't do it live, and we're just touching up the black stuff, and now we're going to do the black lining on them. You know, they both look very grayish because it's mostly, white, but if you don't put the undercolor, they look exactly the same. So you need to put whatever color is underneath it. But before I do that, I'm going to look through my German decals and make sure I don't have the numbers I want to use on here. And not just hand paint them like I was planning on doing. They should all be in one place. All the German ones anyways. Great. There's American ones. There's a thick one on the Soviet ones. Commonwealth. Okay, here's the German ones. I don't care about the Balkan kreuzes. We're going to hand paint those ourselves. Big Mac. Yeah, you missed me taking a drive and not having any cops, not running into any cops. It was crazy. Which of course meant we went exactly the speed limit. Look, I don't drive crazy, but I do like to drive with the flow, or like avoid problems. And I use the hell out of Waze for that. Yeah. You coming up on a truck? Pass the frickin' truck. Okay, these are for the Tiger late war from Hasegawa. Okay, and they're just solid white. Okay, these are thick. They paper on this thick. Okay, this is... Okay, we got lots of these. And these are excellent. These micro scale. Okay, so if I was going to use decals, those would probably be the ones I would use. I could make up whatever I want. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do clear the outline white. They're not exciting, but from what I can tell, that's probably what they had on here. White outline numbers. My favorite looking ones are black numbers highlighted in white, but this is not a scientific study, but it seems to me that those tend to be SS. Not always, but if you see an SS vehicle, they tend to be in that color. So this is not an SS vehicle. All right, so we're going to hold on to those numbers. And do they fit on the turrets just fine? Or are they too damn big? They fit on there fine. All right, I'm going to set these off to the side. If I'm going to hand paint them, they'd be solid white ones. And we'll rub off that little area where they're going to go on. The German crosses, I'm just going to hand paint them. It's so much easier hand painting them, especially when you're trying to put one on the tiny little superstructure part, like under the turret. Like you gotta find a decal that'll fit in there, and it's so difficult. Okay. All right, so we're gonna take. There's not that much on there. I'm not going to rub that area where the number is. There's not that much white on it. Not that much white on it. Just got to figure out which company I'm going to do. What do I have in these already? See, my other pans are 3s that are L's that are die cast. I want to say they have 5s and 6s. Okay, this one has 7. Yeah, 724. Ever heard the song "Liar" from the Rollins Band? No. I know who that guy is. He usually shows up. He usually shows up when something political gets discussed, and he's definitely a flaming lefty. I've never listened to any of his music. I want to say I tried to listen to some of it, and I mean I recognize the name, but I don't think I've ever heard it. I don't think I've ever. I wouldn't know any of their songs. Maybe if I played one of them, but he's like a late '80s thing, right? Which that's the time period for me to know music. Mid and late '80s, but. Okay, that's the flamethrower one. That doesn't count. So this one's a 615, and this is a 724. Okay, I'm gonna make these fives. These guys are gonna be fives. I don't want to do them six because that's the company that Scheibert was in, and then you're like, well, that's not what his tank looked like, Heavy metal. I like heavy metal. I just don't know that. I'll listen to some on the way to work. Liar, huh? I'm terrible about listening to lyrics, so I don't hear well, and it's very strange that I can actually make what the lyrics are about. What's in the lyrics for it? Don't think he's a Trump supporter. Too bad. Well, you don't have to support Trump. You just have to not be a, flaming leftist. You know. You know. Be a libertarian, Be like, let people do whatever the hell they want. Yeah. He's like pro-choice. Yeah, I'm pro-choice as long as you choose my choice. I agree. You have a freedom of speech as long as you agree with me. What the fuck's that all about? People don't talk to each other anymore. I had somebody that visited me recently who's definitely. I disagree with them on a lot of things, but they're a reasonable person. I didn't really get a chance to talk to them, and I think I would have really enjoyed talking to them. I am not a fanatic. I am not. I'm not. There's only one hill I'm going to die on, that I'm willing to die on, and I'm adamantly against masks. Adamantly, I don't care about vaccines. I don't want to interact with people that I can't see their face. Everything else is can be gray area for me. But. People just don't talk to each other. This is a reasonable person. I was like, could have had, because there's reasons that people think that the way they do about life, the way you're raised, the stuff you encounter, the stuff you don't encounter, etc. There's things I feel really strongly about, and it's because I experience things a certain way, and I don't want to experience them again. So, like, so. The hill that I'm willing to die on is that knees with faces in them are creepy. Knees with faces on them. I don't know what you mean by that, but okay. Knees with faces. Never got the COVID vaccine. I did because the girls wanted to travel. I'm not against vaccines. I'm just against, like, you got to do this, or you're like, whoa, wait a second. So I'm pro people getting whatever the heck they want. Like, I'm pro, I don't want people telling me what to do, and I don't like telling people what to do. Like, I'm not that short where I need to, like, you got to do this because I'm a little man. I mean, I don't care, so. Yeah, I've never gotten the flu shot before. Like, it's a pain in the ass. Like, what would you do it, I went to the doctor and said, hey, you need to get you should get the, what was the thing? Shingles. You should get the shingles. Well, I was already at the doctor, and I was like, do you do it here? She's like, yeah. I said, okay, fuck it, let's do it, right? Because, you don't want to get shingles. I've always had my vaccines as a kid, but I don't want to make I'm too busy. I'm too busy for that shit. And I'm not scared, Like, the boogeyman's going to get you. What boogeyman, But if you want to get them, that's fine, but. Knees on them with knees with faces in them are creepy. I don't know what that means. Knees. You sure you typed that correctly? Knees with faces. Should I look that up? Knees with faces. Oh, it came up. What the? I've never seen that before. What the fuck, man? That's Yeah, that's weird. Talk about Holy Mother Mary on a toast. A piece of toast. I've never seen that before. Y'all got some fucked up knees in Texas. That friend that got had a friend that got shingles at a young age. Yeah, I'm not against, I don't think the government's trying to kill us, you know. I don't think that yet. Dark tone. I don't think government's evil. I think it's incompetent as fuck. But okay, let's put some of this dark tone here. Knees with faces. I've never seen that before. That's probably really bad for people that are scared of like dolls. Because I see like, come here. I've never seen one. Ever. Help, I messed up and with a witch and she turned me into a knee. Oh my god, I've never seen that. I've never seen that. Wow. That's some skinny people. Skinny people don't have enough fat on their knees. AI is going to kill us. You know, I don't know. Maybe not indirectly. Maybe not directly. It gets to the point where I just don't trust anything anymore. But media did it to themselves. Here, look at this. Oh, that's it. And then, oh, that's not true. Well, all right. Well, yeah, you start lying to me a lot. Is that what that Henry Rollins song is about? He's a little like thrash, right? He's a little thrash. I like heavy metal, but not all heavy metal. Like I don't like Metallica. I like Maiden, but knees with faces. Wow. Can't say I ever saw that. I don't like what are those things? Those shoes or even socks that are all individual toes. And I don't hate feet. I know two people that literally hate feet. And I'm not talking about like, hate like Mitch's feet. Like I get that, or some dude's feet. I'm just saying, feet in general. If somebody says feet, you go, ooh, like that. I don't have that reaction. But individual like toe socks or toe shoes, fucking weird. Like use some kind of you starting to speak in Jar Jar. Use some kind of frogman. Haven't seen any 3D bot maker stuff lately. I guess he's on a break. Now that you know they exist, you'll see it more often. Oh, you motherfucker. You son of a bitch. Because I clicked it in. You're right. Oh, man, you're right. Well, you know how you fix that? You go in there and search again, like quickly search for all the things you do like. So maybe that'll smother him, Damn it. You know how the algorithm works, don't you? I don't think about that. I'm just like too busy doing other shit. Oh, hold on a second. I don't see pictures of Panzer III's sitting around. I don't see all these. I'm not getting a deluge of like Wintergewitter pictures because there aren't any more. I found them all. There weren't that many to begin with. Yeah, he hasn't done a video. He hasn't done a video in a while, unfortunately. I can't believe when he does one video a week, and really, it's only a 10-minute video that he's doing one of them a week, but it's still like that's a lot of work. Knees with faces. What's the name of that movie? I haven't seen it because it's like horror movie. The hills have eyes. The hills have eyes, and the knees have faces.
The hills have eyes, the knees have faces, and when we kill you, we will leave no traces.
Scary story time with Tony. Yeah, I don't like scary stories. They stick with you a while. I am still affected by things that not affected by things. I still remember well the scary stuff that I was subjected to in fourth and fifth grade. Yeah, it is a movie, isn't it? I think it is. I mean, you scroll past things. The movie I'm never gonna see is Donnie Darko because I'm not looking at that fucking rabbit thing. No, they don't make enough fire for me to take it out. And it's funny because I think in the movie, like the thing isn't the thing isn't evil or anything. Like you know, I ain't watching that. That thing creeps me the fuck out. Give Send me all the clowns you can. I'm not dealing with a demonic rabbit or a demonic animal thing. I think it's the demonic mixed with an animal thing. That's why goat like Krampus. No, nope, not doing the Krampus thing. Although I did watch the Krampus movie, but I'm just that Krampus festival in Germany. Nope, not going to that. You watched One Missed Call yesterday. It sounds like a horror movie. And the other kind of movies I don't want to see, I don't want to see those Final Destination movies. I haven't seen any of them. I saw the commercial for one of them or a trailer for the latest one, and it really disturbed me. I just I don't like seeing innocent people like really gory shit. And people say it's really funny. I don't know. There's just some things I don't want to laugh about. There's just some things that I just don't find humorous. You know. I've watched Donnie Darko quite a few times when I was young. Killer Clowns from Outer Space movie. So funny thing about that. When I was doing the research for my clown things, and we will get back to the clown cars. I'm just taking a break. Like we need to play some before I stop creating all these cars and have nowhere to put them. But I was looking for ideas for clowns and names for that, and a commercial came up for that, and I'm like, this can't be a real movie. So I watched the commercial, right, and I'm like, the trailer for that movie, and I'm like, what would possess somebody to make this? How does something like that get funding? It's got all the special effects of like, not even a B movie. It'd be like a D movie. Final Destination movies are pretty effing ahead. Now, what the hell does that mean, man? Does that mean good? They're ahead of their time? Come on, man. I'm not. Stop making me feel stupid. Okay. Plot. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that stuff. I don't like the idea of cheating death and like death still. It's just, and it's people dying in gory fucking ways that I mean, are they all like dicks that deserve that? I mean, it's like if they're just normal kids, I just don't. It's just an uneasy feeling. I don't like that stuff. Holly weird. I got somebody who visited us over the Christmas holidays, and they're a student in the film industry or something film related. So, we had some pretty good discussions, about they're into sitcoms and what sitcoms they like and which ones they don't, and it's interesting. But yeah, I've never watched any of them. I don't want to. I don't want to hear about bad things happening to people on roller coasters that might make me reconsider going on them. And don't make me unenjoy roller coasters. I am a big fan of most of them. Actually, I haven't met one I wouldn't go on. Roller coaster. There's some rides I won't go on, but not roller coasters. Ugh. That's what I hate about doing this in the morning. It's like, oh, time to go to the salt mines. Not yet. But at least I'm a little drier than I was yesterday. I was choking on my sinuses yesterday. And I lost my taste of smell. Well, maybe you have COVID. Well, if I had COVID, then I am a miracle for the world's quickest recovery. I lost my sense of smell. No, well I did, but taste yesterday for the first time in like 15 years. And I'm telling you, if you want to put a patent on if you could get something that forces you to lose your taste of your sense of taste, that's how you lose weight. Like, let me hold on. Let me take this lozenge. What's the lozenge do? It basically numbs my mouth and I can't taste anything. All of a sudden, I'm interested in eating. Like you just don't care about eating. Like there's your weight loss plan right there. So when people say, what do you eat a lot, and I tell them something along the lines of, I I I like to eat. I should say no. I like the taste. Because if you don't have a sense of taste, I'm not really that interested in eating anything. This thing's got a lot of little nooks and crannies. But you know what? After you paint one, you don't have to paint it again, generally. So we should have some paint time this evening when we get back. So we'll be on, hopefully get this thing knocked out today. I'm just curious to see what it looks like. It's not like I need to get it done in a hurry. I want to know what it was going to look like. The other night the girls were watching. See what night would it have been? Saturday night. I was gonna go online and do a show on Saturday night, and I'm glad I didn't because we lost the internet for. It needed to be reset. That would have been annoying. To all of a sudden the feed disconnected. Like I've said, if I'm on one of these and I just get disconnected all of a sudden without signing off, well, it was against my wishes. But my internet's been pretty reliable. I was concerned about that moving out here, but I think we waited until the technology caught up in this rural area before we moved out here. Not that it's that rural, but okay. Well, that might actually need a second dose of that to make the panel lines on that stand out. Let's see. Do I have time to do this other one on this side and make them equivalent before we stop? Was that last call worth a damn? Is it worth watching? Final call or missed call? Have such a hard time like one that just sit down and just watch a movie. Like it's just not interactive enough. Who's in it? Anybody cute? Hey, I'll admit it makes you want to watch the movie. Missed call. It's a song. Missed call movie. One missed call. I don't like that face. Edward Burns is in something. I like Edward Burns. Ray Wise. I bet he plays a dick. That guy always plays a dick. The problem I have with horror movies is twofold. If they're too scary, they put ideas in your head that just don't flat out don't exist with the supernatural, or at least they don't exist in my world. And the other thing is it makes people that aren't well give them ideas to be on the news. And it's like, you know, for me, was I think the first hour was really great storytelling, but I wouldn't recommend it to someone unless they really like Japan horror. The last half of the movie, though, 25 degrees. Hopefully you have clear skies, man. I mean, unless you like the grayness. Where is it available to watch? You know, one thing I actually found, I think, of value in watching a horror movie is if you're having, oh, look, it only has a 4.1 on IMDb. That doesn't mean anything to me. Japan horror. Yeah, I haven't seen any. Well, one advantage is if you have a really hard day, or maybe you hate what you're doing on your daily basis, like, well, at least I'm not in that movie. You get murdered by that guy, you know. It's like it makes you. It's like a pick me up in a reverse way. If you want to watch a good horror movie, check out Noroi. I don't want to watch the horror movie though. I don't want you know I don't want to see horror. You know, like I don't mind seeing stuff like Hostel or well, I don't want to see another Hostel. The first one sucked, but you know, Saw. I wouldn't call those horror movies. You know, and those kind of movies, like those people didn't deserve that those things happened to them, but they do things that I would never do in my life. I would never like swindle somebody out of money, and I mean, just wouldn't do shit like that. So yeah, fucking kill them. You know, it's like that's what you get for being a terrible human being. Pay it backwards. Yeah, but like you know, innocent people just like you know, I just don't like that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I don't want to watch you know horror shit. You know, I can watch Cloverfield and things like that. That's you know, monster things are okay. Obviously, anything with gunplay, but supernatural shit, no. When you can't kill things with firearms, I'm not interested in seeing that. That's really disturbing. You know. I also don't like jump scare stuff. You know, my heart doesn't need to go through that stuff. You know, I've never scared my daughter. I've never like jump scared her. I don't. It just that doesn't benefit anything. I don't think I ever have. And my wife definitely doesn't like those kind of movies. She didn't like action movies. They're too stressful. I mean, okay, well, you're definitely not going to watch some of this other shit, you know? Hey, here's a question for you. I had somebody visit me and we were talking about different movies, and they definitely have different tastes than me, but He said, "Yeah, did you see the sequel to The Shining?" I'm like, "The sequel to The Shining? Yeah, the sequel's got The Shining?" You know? He's like, "Yeah, Doctor Sleep." Any thoughts on that? Should I waste my time? I didn't like The Shining at all. I thought it was, The Shining was just like I was waiting for something really scary to happen, and it never happened. Like a joke that's only funny to the person who tells it. None of my parents. You know what I don't like? Speaking of jokes, I don't like stand-up comedians that don't crack themselves up. I'm not saying they need to crack themselves up on every joke, but they're just deadpan delivery. They're like unmoved by anything that they say, and they're just, I can't relate to that. None of your parents or step parents did that either. I work with a girl who used to like to scare people. Yeah, the thing is if like, let's say you're a person that doesn't like to be scared, like me. I don't like being, startled by things, right? I don't startle people, so I just figure, like, I'm not going to do that, and maybe that won't come to mind. It'd be like somebody who's like into like tickling somebody, but then they don't like to be tickled. Like, that doesn't make any sense, like, you're asking for it. So yeah, pretty early on, I just decided I don't want to do that. I don't want to chase her around and scare her. Just nothing good's going to come from that. Never heard Doctor Sleep. Well, I hadn't either, but this person keeps recommending it. It's unlikely that I won't like it. I dislike most movies, unfortunately. Um, Horror fantasy. Oh, it's also a Stephen King. I don't know about Stephen King. Although I really liked Misery. I really liked Misery. I thought Misery was excellent. I saw it in a movie theater twice when it came out, and I rewatched it last year with the daughter who didn't like it. I thought it aged well. Well, I like James Caan, so that helps, you know. And I wouldn't call that horror. I mean, you can kill the bitch. Like, she'll frickin' die. That kind of a movie is similar to 90% of the second Cloverfield. Or 98% of the second Cloverfield. There's similarities to it. Which is the part of that movie that I liked, you know? Yeah, I thought Misery held up really well. But then, I don't want to I wouldn't want to rewatch something like multiple times. It's funny that I saw, when did that movie came out? 1990, and then I watched it again in 2025. So 35 years later, I watched it again. And there was some parts that I didn't remember the details to, but I mean, I kind of remember what happened. So it's like, it's not like a new movie, but I tend to not rewatch movies. You saw your grandmother watching Misery a few weeks ago. I thought it was a great movie. I tried reading some Stephen King one time. I don't know which book. I didn't like his writing style, where he presented all these characters and then he picked on them. Like, he basically, like, he presented these characters, and like him as the author basically like made them seem like pieces of shit. Like, I don't know, the way it was written, just I didn't like it. Like, okay, you created the character. Why do you dislike this guy? You just dislike people. Just like, are you not happy with yourself? Did you get beat up a lot as a kid? You know, I mean, the guy looks undead. I remember in high school, I was recommended to read this horror book by Clive Barker called Books of Blood. And there's all these little short stories in there. And I was okay with that. That wasn't too disturbing, you know. I think misery is even better today because stalking and obsessing is a much bigger thing now with the internet. You're absolutely right. And I think that, I don't know if it's that much bigger. Well, we have that many more, we have more people in the world, okay? So, but also it gives other weirdos ideas from other weirdos, you know? Like, if you were a deviant of any kind, it wasn't as easy to communicate and get ideas from other deviants. And now it's like, they can wind themselves up, wind each other up. I'm trying to think, what's the Spanish translation of that saying? They can wind each other up, you know? And that's the problem with the internet. I mean, the internet is a great thing, but man, it could be a problem. Oh, this is looking good. This is looking good. But sometimes you need two coats of the washes. And it's funny because the enamel one, I thought, oh, it's going to work so much better. Nope. No, it's a mess and stinky, and it can eat other layers of paint. And I'm just over here in my acrylic land. That's where we're going to have to stop right now. We'll pick this up tonight at some point. I'll try to get on here as early as I can. Get this guy knocked out. I'm interested in seeing how it's going to turn out. But I really wanted to give it kind of a mottled appearance. I don't want it to be like all white. You need to be able to tell if this thing was originally gray and this thing was originally green. And they're somewhat similar, but as you would expect them to, they're not playing in the same playground, so to speak. All right, folks, thanks for stopping by on a work morning. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you